name's Lieutenant Colonel Bill Schwertfeger. Go by the name of Shortfinger.
Right.
I'm retired in 1988 from the Air Force after 21 years of service, and then flew for American Airlines for 17 years before retiring from them.
Very nice. Why did you decide to join the Air Force?
It all started when I was 6 years old. My uncle had a yellow J3 Piper Cub. And I lived out on a farm, and he would fly in and land his airplane in the wheat field there beside the house, and he'd take me flying with him. And at 6, I knew I wanted to fly after I flew with my uncle. And then when I went to Oklahoma State for college, I knew that I wanted to be in the Air Force. So the first 2 years of college was mandatory ROTC for everybody, okay? After the first 2 years, then you made the decision, do I want to continue on in the Air Force ROTC program to get commissioned as a second lieutenant? And my answer was obviously yes, that's what I wanted to do. And I knew I wanted to fly, and so I was fortunate enough to get in the flying program at Oklahoma State, and then went to Vance Air Force Base in Enid, Oklahoma, which was 90 miles from Oklahoma State or 60 miles from my house. So my circle of travel to my first Air Force life was 60 miles as far as I had to travel.
Wow. Did you always feel called to serve your country? I know you.
Yeah. You know, there's nobody in my family that served in the military.
Oh.
Nobody had ever gone to college before me in my family. And I knew, again, that I wanted to fly early on, and the fact that the Air Force was going to provide me that opportunity. Of course, the war in Southeast Asia was going on during that time frame. I went to Oklahoma State, started in '63, and graduated in '67. So I knew that that's where I wanted to go. So it all just kind of fell in place with my desires to be a part of the team.
Okay. We're going to transition into some
Yes.
questions about your time in Vietnam.
Okay.
Can you tell me what went through your mind when you realized you were getting shot down?
Well, all the way up to the event that our airplane was hit, I was in total control of what was going on. And I knew exactly, I thought I knew the battlefield perfectly. Mm-hmm. And when I talked, when about presentation yesterday, we talked about 3 SAM sites. Mm-hmm. The first SAM site empty, the second site was the one that launched, and the missiles went right by either side of our airplane. That left an airplane or a SAM site farther to the north of us. Felt comfortable that if it did anything, we'd be able to see it and respond to it. So it was in total control. Didn't feel threatened at all. Unfortunately, as I said, there was a 4 SAM site that was, at the time, classified too secret for the aircrew members to know about. Mm-hmm. Okay. And had I known that site was there, they would have changed the whole scenario of what took place, okay? But we didn't. And so, again, fate put us in a position that I couldn't recover from. So when our airplane was hit, I instinctively took the stick and jammed it full forward and the throttle's full forward. And the reason I put the stick full forward is to lock the slab. It'll generally lock it in whatever position it was at the time that I did that. And then with the power, you can kind of porpoise the airplane, because we'd lost all hydraulics and electrics and everything. So the thing was, is if the motors were working, we could porpoise, and if I had to use differential power to move the nose, but basically work our way out. And it's 5 miles to the coast, so it's just right there. Unfortunately, our airplane was not going that way. It was going this way in a flat spin. And so there goes the beach, and you go, boy, let's go that way. And then when it gets on this side, it's, oh, there's the high cars. Not my favorite place to eject over, because that's really rugged and sharp and nasty terrain. But at the same time, it's safer than being in the valley where the enemy's at. And unfortunately, the only thing the airplane was doing was still in that flat spin going down. So we had to pull the handles, and that just, again, second nature. You're prepared to do it should it be required. It's not one of your top things that, hey, today we're going to go out and fly and we're going to eject after getting hit. That's not my repertoire. But should it happen, we knew exactly what to do. As soon as I felt the chute, looked up good, and took my radio out, made a mayday call, because I'd keyed the mic and said mayday. Unfortunately, the whole back end of the airplane, engines, back end was all gone, no electric, so nothing went out. So the first call that was heard was when I used my survival radio, said mayday. Well, there's two things that happened when I said that. I was taking small arms, AK-47 and ZP at 7.65, kind of machine gun fire in the chute. Boy, I don't like that very well. And then I looked down, and my airplane had just crashed right there, and there's a fireball. And so it reminded me of an event at Dulles International Airport in D.C. when the Thunderbirds were there flying the F-4 for a demonstration. And the two opposing solos at the time were doing opposing loops. And as they come over the top, they hit each other and knocked a slab off of the tail off of one of the airplanes. And it goes flop, flop, flop. That guy punches out. This guy wasn't damaged that bad, was able to come back and land. So as this airplane is going down and the guy's in the chute, his airplane crashes. He's coming straight down over the fireball. Heat lifted him up. Then it went down and started melting his parachute, and he went into the fireball and died. I mean, he was killed. That's going through my mind, and I says, okay, I know what I need to do. Up here are little red cords that I should pull, and what that'll do is open up some vents in the parachute so that I can slip, move, make the chute go this way. And so as I pull those, we slide and miss the fireball. Okay. So as I land right in the corner of a rice paddy. Right here. And coming up this side is about a dozen North Vietnamese regulars, and coming up this side is another dozen of North Vietnamese regulars. So I undid my risers to get my parachute off. And I always had 4 hand grenades, man. 2 of them were on my chest strap on my harness, 2 of them on my gun belt. And I put my hands on those hand grenades, and I looked at those guys as they're coming. And the guy here on the left, in front, pith helmet, has got his 9mm out, and he's plinking right at my feet. And I say it's 9, I don't know what it was. He's shooting a pistol, and it was right at my feet. He could have raised it up and hit me right in the chest if he wanted to kill me. So it was obvious he didn't want to kill me. So when I looked at these grenades, and I said, looked over my shoulder, I looked up, and I says, Duke, what do you think? Should we go ahead and pull these grenades and pull the pins and do like that? Send grenades to the 212 Team North Vietnamese soldiers, maybe kill a couple, and go out in a blaze of glory. Because I'm going to get killed, right, in doing that, but at least I take some of them with me. Or, discretion, the better part of valor, take my hands off the grenades and raise them up. And Duke looks down at me. I can see him. And he says, Shortfinger, discretion is a better part of valor, and in fact, you should live to fight another day. So I took my hands from my grenades and moved them up to surrender and capture. Now, the Duke that I'm talking to is John Wayne, okay? John's not sitting there, but that's who I'm talking to, and that's the communications that we're having.
And after you were taken to Hanoi Hilton, how challenging or not challenging was it to communicate with the other prisoners?
Initially, I was in solitary confinement in a separate building all by myself in a small room, maybe about the width of the screen behind me here. It's about a 4 to 5 steps length by maybe 2.5 steps width, okay? And there's a bunk there, a wooden slab that you, for the bed. So I had 0 contact with anybody, and didn't even see any old guys in the camp that I was at. I remember going out to take a he says, you must wash. I said, okay. So they take me out to the side of this building, and there's a water tank, and you're supposed to pour water on and clean up and whatever. And I remember the tap code is a 5x5 quadratic, right? And I try to figure out, are you okay? So I'm tapping on this wall to see if anybody's in there. And then I get back, they're texting at 100 words a minute, and I was texting at about a 1 word an hour, okay? And that's what I was receiving at 1 hour, 1 word an hour, and they're texting at 100 words a minute. So I didn't get a clue of what the hell they said. The guard takes me back in my solitary confinement cell, and then all of a sudden, one day I hear something out there. And I look through the crack, there's a flap door that opens that the guard kind of opens up, and will put food through and check to see if you're, whatever you're doing in there. And so I see that. And I look out there, and in the courtyard is about 4 or 5 fellow prisoners of war, old guys. And they look pretty doggone good. I was surprised, fit, looked all right. And they're out there sweeping around. Well, I says, damn, I need to get their attention. So I took a little piece off my bamboo mat to move the little latch that was holding the trap door so I could drop it down, and took a piece of my underwear and waved it through the deal to get their attention. Hey, I'm in here. And they knew I was in there because of them talking among themselves out there. They knew that I was there, but now they actually had confirmation that I was there, right? And so they come up and they're sweeping, and they give me some of the basic rules of here's what's shaking, here's what you can do, what you don't do, hang tough, be strong. Your fellow prisoner of war is here to stand beside you, okay? The guy that made that initial contact with me, out of the 5 guys, was awarded the Silver Star for his ability to communicate with me, okay? Wow. So it's amazing. American heroes. And when I saw those guys, I says, Shortfinger, I don't care if I'm here 100 years. I'm going to be just like them, strong, okay?
Mm-hmm. You have talked this weekend before about grace and courage, faith.
Yes.
Can we talk about your resilience while being a prisoner?
Yeah. There's always, resilience is an amazing thing in that everybody gets down. Mm-hmm. And I had got down initially because I was beating myself up of what did I screw up? How come? Because I didn't know that SAM site was there. I didn't know that until after I come home.
Okay.
So I had no idea what shot me down. All I knew is I got shot down, and it wasn't from the SAM site that was north of me, because it didn't launch anything. And it wasn't the one I was over the top of, and the one to the south of me was empty. So somehow somebody knocked me out of the sky. So I really beat myself up trying to sort out how come I didn't do this or that. How come I didn't get on the radio and ask the guys to drop a 2,000-pound bomb right close so I could get in that 60-foot crater and maybe wait till somebody comes to get me. And then pretty soon you go, okay, it's time to put the big boy pants on. Stand up tall, put your shoulders back, and say, we're going to make this work, okay? And so that's that resiliency. Now, you take the old guys specifically, and it happened to some of us new guys also, but when an old guy was tortured, and he broke, he said something, whatever it was, didn't make any difference, but they broke him, they broke his spirit, and so they throw him back in the cell, and texting through the concrete walls, we tell him, it's all right. You're not the only one. It happened to us too. We too were down. But we got to place our trust in each other, okay? And you start to raise him up. You start to pump him up a little bit, so he's not feeling so bad about the fact that he caved in to the torture or the beatings. And you see that resiliency as he starts to go, yeah, I'm not alone. Everybody's gone through this. Everybody's dealt with it. And yet we are all unified as one brothers. Okay? And that resiliency lasted for up to 8.5 years for people like Ev Alvarez, or 7 years for Robbie Reisner, or 407 days for Shortfinger. Okay.
Moving towards the end of your time in Hanoi Hilton,
Yeah.
can you walk us through the day you got rescued?
Well, the peace accords were signed on 27 January 1973. And there were two things that happened. Over the camp radio, it was announced that a peace accords had been reached and that we were going to be going home. Then, a few days later, the North Vietnamese provided a copy of Stars and Stripes that had the same thing on it, okay? And was the first time that we got out new guys and old guys, kind of the mix. Mainly the old guys that had been in separate cell complexes, maybe 25 to 30 guys in a large cell room, but they got out in the compound all together, and they're, boy, you know, is it really happening? We've gone through this for the last 7 years. Oh, you're going home? No, you're not going home. Yeah, no, it's not. But this seemed like it was pretty much a firm deal. We new guys were out with them just a little bit, got to interface with them some. The old guys told us some of their stories of torture. And as they told the stories, they were reliving it. You could see it in their face. You could see it in, I mean, they were reliving the events that happened to them. And our eyes as new guys went like, wow. Like I said, there's only maybe 3 of us new guys that were, quote unquote, really tortured. A lot of people had, you know, some minor stuff happen to them, but it's a big deal. But that was the impressive part. Then we all went back into our cells and didn't get to intermix anymore. But our job as new guys was to tell the old guys what they missed in the last 7 and 8 years, okay? And like I said the other day, you missed the miniskirts. Guys that got hair as long as girls do nowadays. You know, we've been to the moon. One of the guys was a engineer on the Saturn V rocket, so he drew on a piece of toilet paper that we used and drew the Saturn V and everything so that they could pass that around and the old guys could see it and stuff like that. So we tried to just bring them up to date as best we could of what's going on. And we also told them about the stuff that was happening back at home with the anti-war stuff. Of course, the North Vietnamese had really played a lot of it on that because that was a propaganda thing that the American people did not support you, you know.
I'm sure that was difficult.
Well, it the by the time I got shut down, it was less of an issue. But in the mid '60s, '68 to '70 time frame, that was tough. And the old guys really, it made them mad.
I'm sure.
By the fact that portions of our country were sympathizing with the North Vietnamese. And the fact that and of course the North Vietnamese stressed that propaganda portion that America's not supporting you. They're not supporting the war. You know, it's a war against good and loyal people, and you know you're killing babies and kids, and you know, so that's all propaganda. And a portion of the American community aided in supporting that, and that's what really hurt. Really hurt.
I couldn't imagine, especially after being shot down and then hearing everything that you all went through. I couldn't imagine like the mixed feeling, maybe coming back home and being around these people who maybe were not very supportive, like the general populace, I guess.
Well, you know, again, for the folks that came back, especially the Army guys and the Marines in the '68 time frame through '70, early '70s. That was, I mean, the American populace treated them like they were baby killers, all right? That's what the press was showing and things, and it was hard on those guys. I mean, you talk about post-traumatic stress syndrome, that just multiplied that by the fact that you're being told by your own people that you were out there killing babies and kids and stuff, and you weren't doing anything, and you're smoking dope, and you're thises and that's, and it was hard on them. Thankfully, America has changed to support those that wear the cloth.
Absolutely. What did it feel like when you all landed back in the U.S.?
Okay. We, like I said yesterday, first place was at Clark. Spent a few days, maybe 3 days max. Got fitted in uniforms, had a quick little physical, make sure everything was all right. Ate like pigs, slept in a bed like babies. Some guys slept on the floor because, especially the old guys that had been there, they couldn't sleep on the bed. It just didn't feel right, and they slept on the floor. There we went to Hickam, landed in Hawaii, and that was just a fuel stop. And of course there was a big crowd there to meet us and greet us and stuff. Then we flew back to Travis, just outside of San Francisco, and from there we jumped on airplanes that took us to our areas that were responsible for us. Like I went to Shepherd Air Force Base in Texas as the regional Oklahoma, Kansas, Texas, New Mexico crowd of people. All right? And my wife and my mom were there waiting for me when we got off the airplane, and I showed that picture of my wife and my mom. That was really a great day.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Did being a prisoner of war ever change your perspective about your military career? And did you ever hesitate to continue your military career?
No, not at all. I was ready to get back into the cockpit the day that I landed back in the States. And we got back, 28 March was my date, and I was down at San Antonio checking out in the T-38 about a couple of months later.
Wow.
Right? So I was ready. Again, the older guys might have been a little bit slower. Some of them had medical issues that they needed to take care of before they got back into the deal. Some guys, Robbie Reiser as an example, stayed in the Air Force and retired as a brigadier general. Okay. The CAG, Admiral Stockdale, became the admiral. Jeremiah Denton, an admiral, and then a senator. You know, so there's a lot of them that continue to serve our nation. Some of the guys says, "I've had enough. I'm going to do something else." And that's fine. That's their prerogative. Yeah.
All right.
But I didn't have a problem, not at all. I was ready to get back in the cockpit.
What is your biggest piece of advice for airmen today?
Well, hopefully I've tried to spread this same word throughout the time, but I think it's important to all airmen, whether you're senior or junior, is be able to listen to what's going on, all right? Especially for those of us that are supervisors or leaders, we need to listen to our younger airmen because they have problems that we probably forgot about what it was like being a one striper or whatever. And so listen to them, talk to them. The other thing I think is important is the trust and the bond that we that wear the cloth of our nation is a bond that should be unbroken. I mean, we should mesh together to be one. In other words, I place my trust in each of you to do your job so that I can do my job. Secondly, I think it's important that we understand and be able to communicate. And again, communications is critical, whether it's texting in 1965 through concrete walls or whether it's SATCOM about a target 1,000 miles away. That communication has got to be precise and clear, no doubt in anybody's mind what our mission and objective is. So communications is critical. And then I truly believe that we all must have some form of faith. A faith in our fellow man, but also in our Creator. Because there's going to be times that you'll find that things just don't quite go the way you thought they should, and you question it. And somebody may not, your peers or your supervisor or whatever, either care to listen to you or have an answer that's acceptable for you. But there's always one person, a greater being, that will listen to you. And that he necessarily is not going to respond right away in something that is very obvious to you. But at the same time, he'll give you the grace, the strength, the courage, and the faith that you need to deal with the problem that's causing you heartache right now. And whether that's in the engine shop or the LRS or in PA or maintenance, or doesn't make any difference, wherever it's at. somebody can listen to you, and he'll help you, and he'll give you that strength to solve the problem.
If you could describe your military career in one word, what word would that be?
Awesome. I was going to say kick-ass, but we'll edit that out, all right? So I'll use awesome.
Okay.
Rewarding.
Okay. All good words.
Exhilarating.
Final question. Reflecting on your career, because you did retire, you served, was it 21 years?
21 years.
What would you say was the highlight of your career?
Well, to fly the entire 21 years and never do a staff job. You know, generally, if you wanted to progress up the ladder in rank and whatever, you would probably have a staff job someplace in there, whether it's a Pentagon or something like that. And I just kept saying, nope, I want to fly. I want to fly. I want to fly. Did I make full colonel? No. But I could always look at myself in the mirror and shave my face and know that I did exactly what I wanted to do for 21 years, and that was fly.